Okay, all right. Thanks, Ruth, and thank everybody for coming. So yeah, I'll be talking about, kind of telling a bit of a story about the faculty racial diversity. And this is representative, it's not comprehensive, right? We've got 5 minutes. Professors aren't really known for their brevity, see what I can do. And so there as many things we missed as incorporated, and really these are initial actions and initial efforts. They're not really successes. It's the successes that we have are raising awareness and getting started on things. Also, this is not my work. I'm representing work done by lots of people, and in particular, faculty of color on campus. And this is the context of just we've already spoken a little bit about it, that the faculty composition does not match our student composition, and that plays out in lots of different ways, from campus culture to pedagogy and various ways that need to be, we need to find a better balance. And are we? Oh, okay, right. And so this is the snapshot that we have, just to give you a picture of the student composition in relation to the faculty composition. And you can note this no response category that we're focusing on to try to gather better data. In terms of moving forward, like how many faculty do we hire in a year? Well, over this 10-year period, we can see we hired 200 plus faculty. We're getting ready to enter a slower growth mode potentially, and so not likely to continue with these kinds of numbers. So what I did was kind of crunch some numbers and think, okay, well, what about with the next 100 hires? What if we doubled the percentage of underrepresented faculty? What would that look like? Well, it's not really going to move the needle all that much, right? I mean, so that's doubling the underrepresented faculty, and it's just not, in the next 100, it's not going to get us really much closer to where we want to be. So the next slide we'll talk about, well, okay, what about the next 150? Well, with 150, we can think about tripling the numbers of underrepresented faculty that we currently have on campus. That's going to do a better job, right? That's going to do a better job, but that is a really tall order. That's essentially saying that of the next 150 faculty that are hired, 4 of them would be white, right? And that's that can be a great goal, but that's going to be really, really difficult to do. So we can see that we have serious challenges ahead. These are just kind of thought experiments, like what would it look like if we tripled our underrepresented faculty? And so really what we're talking about is trying to connect with a few different categories on campus. One is focusing on changing those numbers, faculty hiring, promotion and tenure, but then also what about the classroom, and what about just improving the campus climate as a whole? So a lot of text here, so I apologize for that. Faculty hiring, so what is it that we're actually doing? So we have these kind of ongoing diversity training workshops for people who are in search committees, and a review process that says, well, if it's not going to be, if it's not a diverse pool, then there's going to be a stop, and we're going to go back to the pool. Here's an ad that was posted in the Chronicle of Higher Education saying this is what we're trying to do on our campus, right? Just trying to raise awareness of what we're trying to do, and then with the faculty appointment, promotion, and tenure committee on campus, trying to revise some of the criteria for promotion, saying, well, what are you doing for diversity on campus? In terms of inclusive pedagogy, we have various efforts underway and training, the SEED program in particular, strengthening educational excellence with diversity, but various other ongoing workshops, the Teaching and Learning Center, the Writing Center effort, which we've just talked about a little bit today, and then most programs are having some kind of discussion in their units about, well, how are we dealing with content and improving our approach to this in our programs. And then really much of this is about campus climate. And so things like this, but also a variety of other trainings and workshops. I was in the Equity 101 training this morning. It was fantastic. But other ones that are ongoing, you can look through there and see other things. The bias incident reporting system that Ricardo was just talking about. Plans for a climate survey. We really have to kind of get a handle on, well, what is the climate right now, and how do we start to make some kind of dent in it and improvement, right? Equity audits, finding more data, again, that like idea of no response, and trying to get a better handle on what's here and how do we make things better. So again, this is the beginning of an effort, and so they're not like successes in terms of outcomes, but what we're getting started and how we're raising awareness. These various categories, hiring and inclusive pedagogy, and then the various trainings on campus to improve campus culture. We can do a lot of talking, but it's really just ongoing action, and we're only going to know what the results are over time. And so, right, we need to be doing this now, but we can't really know what the impact is, or what the effect is yet. And if the one thing that I want to really emphasize at the end is, I show all these charts and things looking at numbers, but the numbers are just a really small piece of the story. We have to change the numbers, but changing the numbers doesn't change the climate. And you're actually not going to change the numbers unless you change the climate. Right? So we can look at the numbers and look at how we need to be, but that's really only going to happen if we change the climate that we're working with on campus and how we relate to one another. So that's how we're getting started. Okay, thanks.
So again, just to keep us on schedule, we're unfortunately going to skip the talking to the audience, and we'll jump straight into the Q&A.
Yep. No, not Richard. No. Sorry, I don't know your name, but anybody other than Richard.
Yeah.
I thought you were very included.
Sorry.
So it sounds like you're considering ways to change the evaluation process once people actually get to campus, but I was wondering, in the faculty hiring process, what are the changes that your committee is proposing or actually implementing?
Right. So the idea is starting with, how do you write the job ad, right? What is it that you're advertising for? How is it written? Where are you advertising for that position? How are you actively recruiting, as opposed to just writing a job ad in isolation, sending it out there, and then hoping that you get the kind of people that you want? Like, you have to actively go and recruit for that. And then so an evaluation of the pool that you get, and if it is not a diverse pool, then you start over, right? The search is canceled. Down to, if you go through this long process and you have a short list, if that short list isn't matching a diverse pool, you need to go back and get a different short list and think, well, what went wrong along the way, because we can't have the same kinds of outcomes that we've been having.
Can I submit a really quick suggestion? So I'm applying for faculty jobs, or I did this year, and some colleges like Evergreen have gone to asking people to submit a diversity statement to talk about, sort of their priorities, and I was wondering if that's happening at UWT or not.
I think it depends on the program. So different searches can do that. There isn't a policy that I'm aware of that is specifically requiring that, right? Yeah. Richard, sorry.
How receptive are faculty to the improving the pedagogical skills? Is that really interested, or is there a pervasive interest?
I haven't surveyed them. I think that's going to be hit or miss. I would like to think that we are all open to it. There are always going to be people who say, look, my classroom is my business and it's not yours. But I think that in this context that there is, or at least should be, some openness to at least just examining, just critical self-reflection on what is it that you teach in the classroom. It's not you have to teach this way and this content, but you have to at least have a sense of how is it that you're going about doing your teaching job.
We have time for one more question.
You can go. I can talk to you.
Okay.
What if we fail?
What if we fail?
So I have seen pools that are diverse, and still the white guy gets hired, probably because he was the most qualified and fit the program the best. But if that keeps going, and if, as Richard says, we get enough resistance to change in the classroom from the way we've done things for the last however many years, what is the next step? What is the evaluation? How do we change as a campus to say, we feel, I mean, what if it's just, we feel really good about who we are?
Yeah.
And we can't change to accommodate who you are. What
Yeah.
happens then?
I guess I don't buy that, right? That first of all, that there is a we that can have a collective voice like that, and that would in some way justify shutting out others doesn't seem defensible to me, right? And that failing in the process. So what if you go through this big long process and it happens to be the other white male who looks just like me who gets the job? That is what we have had, and that is reflective of a flawed process. It cannot be that every single time that somebody that looks like me is always best, right? That there's something about what we're asking for and where we're looking and the kinds of questions that we're asking, who's doing the evaluating, that is flawed to channel us into that same outcome every time. So, and what if we fail? I would prefer to just focus on how do we succeed than really worry about or plan for the failure and kind of deal with that if we come to it.